So we're here today conducting Sandra's appraisal. So it's me and Janine that's doing this with her today. We had beforehand collected feedback from everybody doing a 360 appraisal. So Sandra has already received that report and so has Janine, and there was some really impressive stuff in there, so hopefully we'll get to discuss that today as well. So yeah, you ready, Sandra?
I think so. Slightly nervous, even though I've seen the report.
So we'll start with what do you think's working well? What has been working well for you this year at Equipped?
I think what's been working well is that we've actually ended up with nearly a new sort of therapy team, really, which was quite worrying. I think some of the ASGSF cuts, a lot of people became very wobbly, so we lost a lot of team members, and then we've gained a lot of new team members, and actually, surprisingly, that's worked really, really well, and I think it shows just how structurally we've got really sound structural things in place that mean that the team that have come in new have started with hitting the ground running. So we've been able to make sure that they know what they're doing, and I think because of the oversight with the management now, it just means that they've been able to fly with it. I think we've been really lucky to get really good new team members that are doing really well.
They're really proactive, aren't they?
So I'm really pleased with that. I think that's worked really well.
Brilliant. So there's probably loads that could be picked for this next question. I know there is, but what would you say as registered manager has been your most significant achievement this year?
I think this year it's been the fact that, and there is quite a lot I could pick from, but I think reflecting on it when I was thinking about it, it's been able to rebuild an entire team. So the ASGSF cuts did cause, quite a wipe out of the team and quite a wobbly time that was really, really difficult and very challenging for me. And then we've rebuilt the team from scratch, really, with lots of new team members. Some are newly qualified, which always worried me, but actually they've all significantly been able to jump on board with that, work as a team, because they're an amazing team. I haven't got one defensive person amongst that team now, which makes a massive difference, because every time now I say, I'd like you to do this, or can we do this, they're all coming up with ideas of what they want to do. They're all working together. If I have to challenge, they're never defensive. If I say, are you okay with what I've had to say about that, they're just like, yeah, well, of course I am. They're professionals, so even though some are newly qualified, they're really professional in the way that they're working, and I think they really appreciate coming into an organisation that's set up as a therapy organisation, that's led by a creative therapist, because so it values creativity and values them as equally as creative therapists, and I think that's the biggest achievement, that we've kept the standards despite the changes. And I think that for me shows the oversight. That wouldn't happen without excellent leadership and an excellent reputation that has captured new people to us.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they're just always willing to learn, aren't they? And do more things. And that came through back in the report and feedback from her as well, that you openly encourage CPD opportunities, or you're constantly suggesting things for them to undertake to develop their skills even more. Some are already doing it on their own accord, but that came back as well, that they're really appreciative of that you're investing not just into the business but into them as individuals as well, to ensure that their employability, their skill set and everything increases.
Absolutely. We want them to be best, don't we? We want them to be the best therapists they can be, and even if, and like some of them have said to me, what if Equipped ever closed because of financial situation? I've said, well, I'd support each and every single one of you to go and get your own freelance work, because we want them to be the best that they can be as therapists, so that benefits Equipped now and benefits the children and families here. But if they ever have to move on, then they're set up to do that freelance work themselves.
And they joined at quite a difficult time, didn't they?
They did.
Cutting the funding and stuff.
There was quite a lot happening, and I think because they were aware of that, but also I think with charity coming in and me being able to say actually
yeah.
there's lots of bids we're looking at as well, I've got your back and I will keep finding ways to financially make it work, you know. And I think they're probably quite aware now that actually if anybody doesn't get paid, it's me, and everybody else does get paid. You know, that I'm not in it. I've never been equipped for making money. It's not a money maker. I made much more money freelance, but it's not a money maker. I'm in it because I love the fact we've got an excellent service in Barnsley, and that's what children and families deserve.
I think that 100% that comes through in everything. Yeah, definitely. And I think as a manager, you're very open with them. There's transparency. That you're honest with them. So, like you're saying about whether it's funding or something else, they're not kept in the dark about anything. They're very much involved. They're able to offer suggestions. You openly ask them, do you think there's anything else we can do? So they're very much included where they can be in decision making and in developing the organisation.
That's really good to hear, because I think if you know something's going on in the background, it makes you more nervous of what is going on. And therapists are sensitive to atmospheres and changes, you know, that's why the therapist is much better to just say, actually, this is happening, these are the things I'm doing to try and make sure we're here and you've got work, and I'll continue to do that as my priority as manager, to continue to make sure that we can survive and that they're all in work. So I'm really glad to hear that. And honesty, as you know, is like my most valued asset in anybody. I really dislike dishonesty. I just think it's always best to be honest, and then you work around that, don't you? And I'm very honest, and some people like that about me, and some people I think probably find that tricky. But hopefully the team, as you say,
I think the team
value that.
It's definitely and it very much feels like it's a collaborative to work at Equipped. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's valued in their own right, and it comes together as a team. So it's perfect. And what do you think's been the biggest challenge this year for Equipped, Sandra?
The biggest challenge has definitely been managing the ASGSF cuts.
Okay.
I think that's put us under a lot of pressure, not just financial pressure as an organisation, but pressure to still do a good job with a very small amount of money. And I think it's made me rise to that challenge, because what I've then done is gone out and got bids and fundraising so that we could bridge gaps and we could, you know, offer extra support like the therapeutic parenting that we got the bid for, so we were able to offer that and wrap around the support. But that's been a lot of extra work. It's a lot of man hours, offering the groups, offering support to our carers in that way as well has been lovely, and it's made us work differently and actually made me think much more outside the box. So although it's been a massive challenge, and it remains a challenge to work ethically within the budget that we've been given by the government, which is not an ethical budget, we've risen to that, but we've risen to that because of the CIC and now because of the charity. But I think it's recognising that does put pressure on people and also makes the staff a little bit wobbly, which is not what we want really.
No, but I think it's important to acknowledge that particularly what came across in the report is that staff are very trusting of the management team, and although they would understandably be a bit wobbly because of those funding changes, that certainly doesn't come across in that report. They seem the feedback that they received is they feel fully supported, they definitely see a future with Equipped, they're happy in terms of being employed through Equipped and doing the work here. So, but I think definitely it's big credit to you that you've done that, because it's meant that the organisation's strategic objectives have kind of had to change as well to be able to make that, you know, the reduction in funding and stuff, and that's certainly something that you've done. So definitely, thank you. Well done.
That's good to hear that the team feel like that.
Yeah, 100%. So, in terms of both yourself and the senior management team, how do you feel equipped how leadership, governance and compliance is delivered across the organisation?
I think that's something that we've really massively improved on since the last officer inspection.
Yeah.
We've really made sure, I've made sure that I've not tried to do absolutely everything myself.
Yeah.
I think that was something, you know, I'm very much a perfectionist, so it was difficult to give over some of the responsibility to other people to do, but now I feel like I've got a fantastic team doing that, and I trust every single one of
It's so important to in control
Oh.
over it.
Absolutely. When it's your business and it's based on your standards, which my standards are really high, I think it's difficult to meet other people that have those high standards, but that business is really important to them. And I think, you know, I've found that now. It was difficult to say goodbye to my last RI, but the most natural person for it to go to was you, Katie, because you know that was important for me to have somebody who I knew had gone through our system, knows what Equip does, and is passionate about it. And same for Janine as business manager, she's passionate about it because she knows the impact that has on families and has experienced that herself. And I think that's massive. The fact that I've got a deputy manager in Esther whose standards actually sometimes wonder if actually she overtakes my standards because she's so high in her standards and expectations. So to have a senior team that I know are committed and don't want to go anywhere, that take my challenge as well. Take my challenge when I challenge, you know, sometimes when I say, no, I'm exhausted tonight, leave me alone, you take it, you know, you take it on the chin or whatever. I think it's really important. I think we've got a brilliant management structure, and actually our oversight now is, as a result, fantastic. It's really tight, and that did need to change, and it's made me realise this past year just how much, past nearly 3 years, isn't it, since Austin came? Just how much that was needed, that I couldn't do, you know, full-time therapist and managing a growing team, and trying to run a charity as well, so, and the CRC. So, you know, I've had to learn that I needed other people in that, and I think I've got much better at that.
You've got much better at delegating.
Yeah, but we feel fully supported by you, and we know your passion, and that rubs off on us.
That's good.
As well.
That's good. Lead by example.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. That's good. And I'm not too much of a slave driver, am I?
No. I think if anything, you're probably, as much as you're learning to delegate, I think there's still probably more over the next year that you could. But I think naturally that'll come in time. And now you're starting to do it more regularly.
And then it makes us feel more trusted as well, and want to then give more.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
So it's like, okay, I'm being trusted here. I need to show up.
Yeah.
So,
that's good. That's good. I can definitely delegate more.
I'm going to regret that. But you do, and you do still like, you know, play therapy is at your heart. So you've still got your one day that you're doing your therapy, and that's very important for you to keep that, because that's where, you know, your true passion is. But at the same time, you're just as committed to the leadership side as well, and there's a good balance at the minute. It works in terms of you getting what you need from doing that, and the team feeling fully supported. And it was, again, in the report, that's what came through in terms of not as in them trusting them to go off and do what they're expected to do. You know, you don't have to micromanage anybody. And they're fully trusted, and that came back that they appreciate that they're fully trusted in the report to be able to do that. And you're not constantly breathing down the neck. You know, what you're doing, have you done this, have you done that? Everyone knows what they're doing.
There's a balance, isn't there? There's a balance of them feeling I'm around enough to feel supported, but also being aware that they're professionals and that there's an expectation that they will meet those standards that have already been set out, and that hopefully I model to them in my own practice with children and families, where you know, I hope families and children always feel warmth and welcomed, and that's what I want the team to always do. They're who we work for, they're the ones that are important, and when I do play therapy, it reminds me of that. So I think that day is really important. It fills up my bucket because I see the progress that children make still. it reminds me of how tough sometimes the systems around children can be, and how much the team have to really work that as well. So it keeps all that in check for me. But yeah, watching the growth and getting the feedback about children, because we always do see progress, which is what, if everything else is in place, we see the progress, and it's just lovely, and I think it keeps me young.
That's the secret, isn't it? That's the secret.
I have to stay fit to do play therapy.
Yeah.
So it makes me keep a certain level of fitness and health and well-being. I hope, so yeah, I do love that side of it as well.
Fantastic. Could I ever 20 dishes? And
I wish.
Fantastic. So over the past 12 months, are there any particular areas of Equip that you think have improved?
I think getting charity status, even though that's separate from the limited company and the Ofsted registration, but obviously we see the businesses as all one, really, don't we? The way that we work is all the same, regardless of whether it's the charity, although we've got trustees. I think the fact we've attracted new trustees shows our reputation is really positive. Getting charity status was a massive achievement, because it was quite difficult to get, and we had to really keep going back for that. So that's a massive one for me, because I'm really hoping the charity's really going to end up at least matching the limited company, if not taking over from the limited company, really. That's what the way I'd like it to be.
Fantastic. So Sandra, we've mentioned a bit about finances already, and how that's made things a bit difficult over the past 12 months, particularly with regard to the SGF fund. Do you think there's possibly any other barriers that have affected the organisation over the past 12 months?
I think the main barrier has been the cuts. I think that's been really difficult, and I think, that decision to cut it from 5,000 to 3,000 was made, from what I could see, without any real knowledge of what is needed for adoption and special guardianship families. We're working with some of the most traumatised children, and to think that £3,000 covers the amount of work that you need to do, and we're not talking about just the sessions for the children, we're talking about the wraparound care for everybody, the parents, the schools, any professional involved. That needs to be a wraparound piece of work.
Or assessments as well.
And assessments.
That feed into.
Absolutely. I mean, we used to do a CAP assessment for almost every family, every child, because it was so useful to people, and now we have to really think about whether that's needed, which I think is a real shame, because we don't make a lot of money on the CAP, but it does really help us to decide what's right for children, so that we're actually making each bit of that money worthwhile and used in the right way, rather than just saying, one thing fits all children. It doesn't, and I think that's a real shame. We've managed to work around it with all the little plugs that we've done, but if we didn't, and we weren't ethical, and we were just about the money, what would be happening now is we'd be saying, right, unfortunately your child's funding's ended, you can come back to us, which I know some organisations do, come back when you've got your next piece of funding next year. So there's a huge gap then.
But you are still a business, and you've got expenses outside what you're delivering.
Yes. As Janine reminds me all the time.
This is the business manager talking.
The bugbear for Janine is that I always put ethics before financial concerns, and I know that's put us on the edge quite a few times, and I know that's really difficult. It's difficult for Janine to manage stress-wise, because she's the one that's trying to manage the budgets, and I've had to really sort of pull things in that are extra costs that maybe we don't need to have to, to try and.
But like I say, that gap can be highly detrimental. Putting feedback in detrimental to these children. They could have just opened up finally after a long period of sessions, started to process trauma, and then suddenly they're left with it because they've got to wait another 3 or 4 months before the therapy can start.
And in my opinion, it's quite dangerous.
Yes,
it's quite dangerous. If you've got a child that's in the middle processing, and you just stop that therapy because of funding, and you don't. I mean, they're the ones we try and bridge. The ones that are really urgent, the ones that don't need bridging, we're not trying to bridge those, but the ones that I think, just getting there, and I know that from management oversight, so not just from my own caseload, it's for the cases of the team. I know when we talk about those particular children that they might have only just really found the right fit in therapy, really be working well, and then suddenly if we just went, no, money's gone, we're not doing any more, then that would be a detrimental, and I can't do that to children.
You can't do that, no. Would you say the funding cuts is one of the biggest risks for Equipped moving forward?
Absolutely, one of the biggest risks is that. And like I said, I'm hoping that we can get more funding through the charity. We have gone for sort of local authority bids and unfortunately not been able to gain those. So I think what I'd want to see happen is that actually our own local authority supports us much more with that and makes sure that they consider, if they want a local business to be here for therapy for children and families, that they need to be supporting that as well as much as they possibly can, so that we can be here 100%.
And you have taken on the finances as a business, not just that, a lot.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
You've taken on that.
Yeah, definitely. I think changes are being made, and they're not having an impact on service delivery.
That's good.
I think positive feedback from families, the children themselves. We're very big on voice of the child, aren't we, and hearing what their opinions on their therapy. And I think, like you say, despite all of the financial difficulties, service has been sustained and at a high level. That level hasn't dropped off at any point, and I think that needs to be recognised, that's your management and your leadership and decision making that has done that. So it's very good.
Trying to make me cry.
We will do.
If you want to.
I must admit the feedback that we've had this week, and it's just been off the cuff feedback. A special guardianship person, head person. You've made me emotional. I can't articulate now. Special guardian Nan yesterday just sort of said to me, you do such a good job, and where would we be without Equipped? And it was just me just cleaning up in the waiting room, moving around as I do, because even as manager I have to do all that. I don't have other people that do it all for me. And that really just reminded me of what it was all about. And then the day before going to I'd been to 2 children in care reviews. One was for a child I'd worked with personally long term, and the feedback was absolutely gorgeous. And the IRO wanted that minute in the impact that I'd had. And then to the second LAC review that was at a school where we've got a number of children we work with. The particular child that we're talking, 2 children that we're talking about that I work with, and just the impact that's had, and one that we're thinking was ASD, and now I'd said hold off because
it could just be
and it came up as quite an IA attachment strategy, so I said just wait, let's see what the therapy does first. And actually now he's giving eye contact, developing better relationships. They said he's so much happier, and the foster dad said, actually I thought after a couple of weeks I was saying it wasn't going to work, and I was like, my magic wand in the therapy room doesn't work, that doesn't really work, you have to give it a bit of time. He says, and I can't believe the difference in this child that really wasn't engaged and that people thought was on the autistic spectrum, and that's after just 30 odd sessions. So when it's qualified quality therapy, the difference is huge that makes for children. But then also the support, the wellbeing team grabbed me afterwards and said it was so nice to have you here today, because I had a massive smile when she realised I was there, and I was like, what's this smile all about? And she said it was so nice to have you here today because we've got a number of children. I mean, they must have about 7 children, and said across your team and named a number of therapists, and the impact of every single one of those children has been positive. So we're so grateful to have you in Barnsley, and I just thought that's what it's about, isn't it? And it's so nice that other professionals are not seeing that as a threat or it's something counterproductive to them. They see it as an asset, and we can work together. So it's
And it's very much that partnership working, isn't it? That Equip's linked into loads of wide stakeholders across Barnsley, and that feedback really emphasises just how how it can benefit the child and the family just by having that multidisciplinary team, collaborative approach, and all coming together.
Yeah. And like I said to the school, without the school being fully on board and supportive like they are, then that wouldn't happen either. You've got to have the team around that child, haven't you? The social worker, the school, everybody involved and supporting for that to work really well, and the parents to take things on board, or carers. So yeah, really
brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's
really thrilled by the feedback we're getting actually at the minute, considering the change of
really warming and makes you want to
do more.
Do more.
Do
what we're doing is right, isn't
absolutely.
it?
Absolutely. It does make you fight for it, doesn't it? It makes you fight for it and not give up and think, actually, I'll get my kit back in my bag, in my car, and get off and do freelance again and make some money. But you know, it's like it keeps me going, and you know, reminds me it feeds me much more than what earning a massive wage does. So.
Really is important. Fantastic. Right. So there's two parts to this question. Over the next 12 months, what do you feel is Equipped as an organisation priorities?
Okay.
And then what are your priorities as Sandra the manager, Sandra the play therapist?
Sandra the person?
Yeah.
Okay, so my priorities for Equipped is we want to get outstanding from Ofsted.
100%. Yeah.
We deserve outstanding. We put the little things right that we knew were holding us back getting in last time, which was our first Ofsted inspection, so to get good at that point was amazing. There's so many things that we've done since that.
Yeah.
I mean, so many extras that make us outstanding in terms of the wraparound support that we put in place through the CIC, and so we've stopped the funding being a bridge to excellent outcomes, you know, being a barrier to excellent outcomes, not a bridge, a barrier to excellent outcomes. And I think that makes us outstanding because we work really hard and prioritise the children and families. So that's one of my priorities. Can't wait for them to come. Bring it on Ofsted.
You've heard about Ofsted.
We're ready. We're ready. You know, our outcomes are maintained, because one of the things that they said in the first inspection was that outcomes were excellent. You know, everything was outstanding, but they couldn't say that in a report because at that point Ofsted's reports were, if you had something to improve, they had to give you an overall thing. They are talking about changing that, aren't they? Which I think I'd welcome. It'd be really good to
so
change
each of
that.
the 4 key areas would be ranked in its own right. So it would be an averaging.
Absolutely, and I think that would be really good to see, because I think it was really hard to take on the chin that actually it was the leadership and management that needed to improve, even though when they pointed out why, I was like, all right, I get that. Yeah. Because they said, your staff are saying you do all these things, but you're not logging it all, and now we're logging it all.
We evidence everything. We evidence things we don't have to, but we do
everything. We evidence evidence now. So I think, you know, that our impact reports that we've been generating from the sort of impact that we have, all the scoring, we've got quantitative data, qualitative data. So I think, you know, having that there and continuing with that for Equipped and making sure that all the evidence is absolutely there. So that's what we need to make sure we keep doing. That's for Equipped. Getting some really big bids for the charity. I've got some bids that I'm looking at that will really continue to benefit local people, local children, families. Really like to get some more for adults. Really like us to be offering adult work alongside children, you know, especially where that's to benefit families, because what we found when we advocated as a student and we could offer it for free, the impact on the parents and the actual quality of the pieces of work was huge, because you were working with the parents in a way that was confidential to them, where they could absolutely offload everything. It wasn't just about targets for the child, which is what it is when it's therapeutic parenting. So I think having that is really important for me. I think we need to be able to let those parents and carers have an outlet. I mean, you think about it, when carers are under a special guardianship, the I've got so much other stuff embroiled in all that, you know, and I know that personally from my own experience from my mum. So that I think is really important that we have that, and that's where I want to see. I want it to be. I always said I wanted a full family service, and we're nearly there. I think we're nearly a full family service. So that's my goal for.
It's trying to get other agencies to understand that, isn't it? The parent needs to be in the right frame of mind themselves and deal with whatever trauma, or whether it's secondary trauma from parenting these children or things that have happened in their own past, that they can deal with that, because if they don't, that in turn will affect how they parent that child.
It certainly does.
So yeah, it'd be great if us and other people could start, you know, that other people could start to understand the benefit of that.
Get the bids in. I think that's really important. So yeah. And then the second part of the question was me. What are your priorities, Sandra? There's quite a lot actually.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me, but go on.
Well, one of the big things is that I turn 50 next year. And I know, not far away because it's February, so I know. And I've really always said I wanted to go into, because I've got a history of lots of health problems within my family. I lost, you know, my dad when he was quite young. So for me, I wanted to go into my 50s really healthy and fit, which is something that I've really worked on for the past few years, and I am physically quite fit. So that's important to sustain that amongst all the other stuff, because that's important for my well-being and mental health. And if I'm not got that in place, then I'm not a good leader. So that's important for me. So I want to go into my 50th, healthy and fit. I want to take some time out for my 50th, so I want everything to be stable, so I can go and take a nice trip that I want to do for my 50th. So that's really important. And my family are important to me as well. So, you know, that's important personally.
Having that work-life balance is very important, and hopefully if you learn to delegate a bit more, like we were talking earlier.
I know, exactly.
I mean, it feels good at the moment, but you might be able to gain that a little bit more. Just get that work-life balance that you really want.
I'll work on that. I like that. I like that target you set for me.
Okay.
Will you regret it later?
She's never in.
The work-life balance is also important so that your team has it as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, everybody.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
We've got to have that, because if we're...
So you need to have that as well.
Yeah. If we're helping people on an emotional level, and I'm not just helping the children and families I work with, I've got to help all those children and families that all the team work with, and take all that on board for the team. So with the team, I want to make sure they're healthy and doing okay, and I model that, but also I have to be aware that I hear all that as well. There's a lot that I have to manage. So, you know, I have to make sure that I'm healthy, and so I work on that.
I think it's also our responsibility, and Esther as well, as the senior management team, to, you know, check in with that, which I think we do. We do regularly anyway, and we're constantly in contact with each other. But you know, to really check in on each other's well-being, and it's not just it's our responsibility as well to check in with you and make sure you are okay, so you're not just holding everything on top of your shoulders. But I do feel,
do we do that, or
you do check in, you do ask if I'm okay, and how am I doing, and is everything all right, especially if there's any stress. But I think I've actually got a lot better at saying I'm really stressed, or I'm really tired, or this is happening for me. I need to turn off my phone tonight. Can you take over while I'm working? So I think now I've got that senior team around me to do that. I'm doing that much more. And you take it on board, and there's nobody. I don't feel like there's any niggling about it, or
we just take turns. Like
you just take turns, and it's lovely. So it feels really good when you remember your phone.
It's alright, you've got me.
It's alright, don't worry.
Esther beat me there last night. I was like playing with my phone.
We survived.
Not taking my eyes off the phone, and Esther still got there before me.
I know, she's so funny. She is.
But I think communication is definitely one of the biggest strengths in this team. Really, you know.
And you have to feel safe to do that, don't you? You have to feel safe in a team to go, I'm struggling today, or this is difficult today, or this is what, or I've not slept for 2 nights or whatever, worrying about something. So I think that's really important that we can be open and honest about that, because if we're open and honest about it, families are, because they feel they can be, they don't feel like they've got to hide anything, and they shouldn't have to. They should feel completely supported with whatever's going on, because we're all human. My other target is, I wrote a proposal for a PhD a couple of years ago. It was based on Kappa and the fact that I'd been doing quite a lot of children in care work and transitioning them to adoption to permanency as an early intervention piece of work. So I was using the Kappa to inform my practice and working on early trauma with a child in care, and then helping to identify adopters, speak to them and clue them up before a child was placed, so they knew exactly what the attachment strategies they were going to see, you know, what was going to happen and why, and then transition them using filial therapy training the parents up in that family therapy model to be able to work therapeutically straight away, but tweaked to that child, not just me sat on a screen advising on therapeutic parenting that might not be suitable to that particular child. Because I think early intervention, so the government and the ASGSF, they all keep talking about early intervention for adoption, but actually what that's looking like is cheap interventions that actually we shouldn't even be touching adopted children with. It's quite dangerous. So I'd put that to one side, because at the time the person, it was Steve Farfield I was talking to, who actually developed the Kappa through the DMM from Capitidans.
So at my last clinical supervision, Virginia said, I've been in talks with this particular, I won't name people just because I've not had their permission, but this particular professor who I know from a university, about what you wanted to do, and she thought it was absolutely perfect for what they're trying to achieve and what they're wanting to do in terms of more research for children, child development. So she put me in touch with someone to speak to at that same university, who would be part of my supervisory team if I do get on board, and she was really excited by what I was saying, and she'd had the Kappa training as well from Steve. Yeah, she hadn't got reliability, but she said, I was, so I'd need a reliable Kappa coder as well to supervise me. And she mentioned names who I already knew anyway, so I've been in touch with them, and so it would be a dual university PhD across another country, which I won't mention and this country, and then I'd be looking at that area that I've been really interested in, that I think would be quite powerful. So I think
absolutely.
I think timing wise, it's really important, I think, because I think we're going backwards in terms of children's mental health in the UK, which makes me quite sad, because they think that you can do a light touch intervention and impact mental health in a safe way. And actually, some of the stuff that they're doing is quite dangerous in terms of attachment strategies. So there's some of the emotional literacy type things that are fine for school, for your general school kids, but the ones that have had early attachment and trauma, attachment disruptions and trauma issues, they really should be touched with that. And I think that really needs to be looking into much more, and people advocating for that and saying, actually, if you're going to do early intervention, it still needs to be a quality piece of early intervention that impacts, and that saves money. That saves money in the long term, because those families have had that support early on. They know what they're doing then to manage that, trauma and attachment presentation, to actually improve things for their own child as well. And
them reaching that crisis point before.
And less likely to rely on secondary services and crisis services when they're adults as well.
So it has an impact. Generally, we know, children from, early children in care, work and things like that, we know that they're more likely to go on to criminal activity, to drug use, to alcohol use, to using more mental health services. So if we can get in early and do that work early. So my target, which was the question, is to get on that PhD and start that process, which will take me a long time, as well as managing it. It won't be sort of done part-time, it's going to take years to do, but
it's so worth it in the long run.
Yeah, and there's the professor that spoke to about it was saying, you know, ethically there's a lot of ethics involved in that, because you're talking about children in care and going into adoption, and so that'll have to be really unpicked and make sure that that's safe. So I might have to tweak some of my ideas, but that's my...
And of course you don't do things by half, so not only do you want to do a PhD, but you want to change policy as a result of doing the PhD.
Yes,
Sandra?
I do, because she asked me, what do you want to achieve with this? Is this for your business, or is this for what you wanted to achieve? And I said, I'd want to go and speak about what I'd found. I'd want to go and try and change policy, government policy around this, not just do a PhD for the sake of it looking good.
Yeah.
I want it to actually have an impact on what's happening at the moment, because, you know, we need to stop with these Facebook so-called courses in play therapy that says 30 hours and you're a
$12.99.
you know, $12.99 and you're a play therapist. You know, it's really dangerous and unsafe, and actually there's nothing illegal about it.
No.
And that needs to stop, and we need to be really thinking about what we're doing and not dabbling. Dabbling can be more harmful
than not having
anything at all.
Is there a time frame for
getting on the PhD? Well, I think I've missed this year's intake, and it would be sort of next year's intake, so it would be but it would be putting it in for this year to be intake for next year. So I think it's like November time that you have to have it submitted, so we're looking into it all now and seeing what we can do. So we're looking for local authorities to get involved if we do get it.
Watch this space, guys.
Yeah. So that's my target. My husband thinks I should have done it years ago.
A big target.
It's supposed to be relaxing as you get older. That's what I was thinking. It's supposed to be winding down.
I'm very much a long life learner. I mean, I love learning, and I love learning new stuff, and I get very excited. So I've already been like buying more books, reading my books, getting out books I've not read that I'd been there. Because it gets me excited.
It's that passion again, isn't it, coming across and knowing it'll make such a difference if you get the go ahead and you know and you do it. And like with everything, I think with the quick tenure work, you don't do things by halves at all. So it's no surprise that you're so committed to it already, and
I'm already
you do a fab job
looking into it. And I just think it's at this stage in your life actually when a PhD is probably more valuable, because you're bringing that working experience into it. I'm not just coming from it from, well, I'm going to read a load of books. I know from working through doing that sort of work the impact that it has, because none of those children that I worked with in that way disrupted. So there you go, that's your outcome.
Perfect. And fingers crossed, placements will then lead to permanency hopefully and benefit the children.
I know it helped us massively.
If that had been in place. And I think, you know, it's a real shame that we're getting less adoption, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Things that policies and the way that things are going, we need to really think about for these children.
It is really, really rewarding.
Absolutely.
It's always hard, and that needs to be acknowledged. It's not, you know,
absolutely.
it's all processes.
And you need the support, and sometimes you need lifelong support, not just, you know, if children's brain structures have been altered because of the early trauma and neglect, that doesn't change overnight, and actually they might always have something that still needs working on into adulthood, so that's what should be there.
So that probably comes to around the end of your appraisal.
Okay.
Before we finish, I just want to say that with the report as well that came back, we've said already the feedback that's come back from the team is absolutely outstanding, and that's really a credit to your hard work as both a manager and equipped.
This is where you can cry.
Yeah, you're allowed to cry.
I'm
now.
not
We haven't got any
trying
tissues. But you know,
Supposed to be mascara.
you're very personable. You know, highly caring. Every team member is just supportive of them and fair and consistent. They really value your professional knowledge that you're able to use to enhance their skill sets and learning. Again, I said before, safeguarding massive, they'll appreciate that because it protects them, it protects everybody. And you're really dedicated to their well-being as well. And I think one of the key quotes from a lot of people, just in different words, was that they all enjoy fully coming to work. Not one of them is apprehensive about coming to work. They love coming in. They're really grateful. Some of them, like you said, are newly qualified, so they're absolutely grateful that the first role that they've come into is equipped. And
that's huge.
When you've got time, you know, really do take time to read through that report fully, because honestly, it's amazing, and you need to take that. You really need to take that on board, because everything that happens at Equip is I think, and you need to accept that. You need to accept the feedback from, because you deserve it. So I don't know whether you want to end.
Try.
I don't know if you want to end on any thoughts.
Just what an amazing team I've got, and like I've heard a lot of them say, I feel like I don't actually come to work when I come to work, and I think
You've got an amazing leader.
thank you. Honestly, that's really important, and it's really important that they all feel safe coming to work, because I've worked in places where it doesn't feel safe, and it's a really unpleasant experience when you go into work and you feel sick in your tummy, and nobody learns in that environment. If we're under stress, our brains shut down. You know, we go into fight or flight, and so for everybody to be able to think and regulate themselves well, they need to feel supported, don't they? So that's important to me. So yeah, I'm pretty blown away actually by it all, and I'm
a true leader leads by example, don't they? So they're not, you know, you're not just a manager that's telling people what to do. You know, you're showing people what's expected. They look up to you. They all look up to you and aspire to. I mean, they are meeting them high standards anyway, but definitely aspire to achieve more, and they're willing to meet those standards.
And we're all booked on quite a bit of training, aren't we?
We are. We're busy bees,
So
aren't
there's
we?
quite a lot going on for them to keep improving. So I'm really glad that they're doing that, because they need to keep with their learning. Your learning doesn't stop when you finish your masters in whatever it is they've done, postgraduate. We've got to continue with that, so to be the best that they can be. And I am. Do I have any ice touches? I'm so glad that they like that, and it's not. It's not seen as a negative or detrimental to them. So that's really good.
Brilliant. No, thank you.
I'm gonna have a cry now.
You can have a cry now.